Hey guys, Steve Zonardo here with Remax West Zonardo Associates. Happy Monday morning. Today we're going to talk about a few things. Number one, always about current inventory in the market, where we're currently at, how the winter month's going to look, and how that's going to affect buying and selling into these winter months if there's deals going to be had going forward. And the second segment, talking about last week's announcement by the Bank of Canada holding their overnight lending rate at 25 basis points. And we'll jump right into that. And today actually is November 1st, so if you're a landlord like myself, it's always a day to celebrate because it's the day where we can actually deposit our checks, replenish our bank accounts, and celebrate the appreciation gain and also the mortgage pay down going forward. So this is obviously an awesome day for all landlords. So November 1st, baby. So going forward, talking about inventory currently right now, we're at 8,217 units with 1,536 actually selling. So again, we've come down 700 to 900 units since last week. It looks like finally we hit our winter months. We should see a deceleration going into the winter months probably. Like I was saying, maybe between 5,000 and 6,000 units available. Problem is with this is if there's less supply naturally, we're going to have, and we still have a huge amount of demand, we're going to have still a very heated, winter months, winter buying season. So we don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, ultimately, we saw a huge spike of inventory come in September, late September rather, which should have came in probably late August into the beginning of September. So everything's kind of pushed back, obviously, because of COVID and all the seasons kind of blended or kind of overlapped one another. So going forward, we'll see what happens with that, and I'll keep you posted. And the second segment is the overnight lending rate that was held last week by the Bank of Canada at 25 basis points. What does this mean to us, the consumers, people that use these mortgages for either personal properties or investments? Is the higher this overnight lending rate goes up, the higher the mortgages that we'll be getting will be at a higher rate. Just like I did in a previous video, talking about pre-COVID overnight lending rate was at a 1.75%, and obviously during COVID to re-stimulate the economy, they dropped it aggressively down to 25 basis points, and now we're in this hyperinflated, overvalued market that they're going to try to tame down by raising this overnight lending rate. And I'll read an article here. So the Bank of Canada announced Wednesday that its current policy rate remains steady at 25 basis points and will likely increase as early as the second quarter of next year. So they're making predictions that the second quarter of next year, you're going to start seeing they're going to increase this overnight lending rate. Number one, for inflation, I would imagine. Number two, for overvaluation on properties. And this bank executive makes further predictions going forward. He says he predicts that the Bank of Canada's short-term interest rate will increase by a minimum of 75 basis points by the end of 2022. So that would equate to 1% total. And eventually anticipates, and I believe this is too aggressive. I don't think it can get there. But anyways, I'll read on. Eventually, it anticipates the rate will be anywhere between 1.75% and 3% by the end of 2023. So basically, in 2 years rather, it's going to be at 3% overnight lending rate. I don't see it, and if it is, you're going to expect 5 to 6% interest rates on mortgages. So based on this news last week, when the Bank of Canada just announced that potentially they're going to be going into a higher overnight lending rates going forward, the banks, obviously, they prey on us consumers, and they've already started jacking their prices. So I did a video last week, and they've already jacked them 20 to 30 basis points. And now, since last week, they jacked them up again another 20 to 30 basis points. And so RBC is a 5-year fix currently right now. They just raised it by 20 basis points to 2.79% for a 5-year fix. BMO, a 5-year fix, they raised it to 23 basis points to 2.62%. And naturally, if you're dealing with a mortgage broker, they can buy down this rate, get it down further. But this is basically what their posted rates are. CIBC's got a 5-year fix, went up 20 basis points to 2.42%. So you see this is already a rise. Another thing to look at too is I'll read another article. The Bank of Canada is going to stop the quantitative easing going forward. And so it says here, the bank is ending quantitative easing and move it into reinvestment phase, during which it will purchase government of Canada bonds solely to replace the maturing bonds. So basically what they've been doing is, what quantitative easing is in easy form is the central bank is printing money, buying assets from the banks. I mean, the States it's mortgage-backed securities, but here they're buying debt rather, right? So they're giving huge sums of money to banks. So banks have this huge amount of liquidity that they gotta lend out. So they lend it out at lower rates and re-stimulate the economy. So basically, the central bank is going to stop that currently right now. So I guess stop the printing of money and stop buying, let's say, securities through banks, and also debt through banks to give them more liquidity. So the banks are going to be cut off on liquidity very shortly, which obviously is going to translate into how we get mortgages, because they're going to be very picky going forward. If you've seen the last 12 to 18 months, anybody could have got a mortgage at any amount. It's incredible. Like, even some of these houses that we sold are just didn't make sense on the valuation, but the bank still funded them, so which was good for the time. But things will be changing. So, any advice going forward to any of my clients, friends and families, like, obviously still buy real estate. I'm still looking for an investment property currently right now, but make sure you buy well. Make sure you can afford that property if anything were to change. And because we know the economy, even if it does, or the housing market, even if it does a dip, it's going to go back up, which we just experience currently right now. So you always have an opportunity, as long as you're in opportunity to sell and make money, as long as you're in it for the long term and long game. That's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions, you always reach out to me here on my socials or my direct line, 647-962-4372. Thanks.